Hey everybody, what day is this? Hey, happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having, I forget what day it is. How you doing, Krista? You're muted, by the way.
I sure am. Not anymore. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty good day today. How about you?
I've been busy. Work was super busy today, and
Mhm.
it's just one of those days. But my new puppy dog is fantastic.
I heard you were fostering a dog. That's awesome.
Not fostering, I adopted this
Oh, you
dog.
adopted it, right? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and I was able to talk to the previous owners.
Yeah.
She sent me puppy pictures, told me other tricks that he knows that I didn't know he knows.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Cool. Like I can't even say anything bad about this dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And it's I'm sorry about your dog Haas that you had to put down and passed away. That really sucks. And pets are like humans. It's just hard to get over that, and you don't really ever get over it. Just right. Like anything else. But so I saw something on Facebook or whatever. The dog you have now, or the pet that you have now, was sent to you from the dog that you just put down or whatever. So I truly believe that. So yeah.
I just got a text from a friend. Keep him in your prayers. His mother just passed.
Oh no. Sorry to hear that.
Literally just came through.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yes. Very sad. But anyway. Have a fun show tonight. We have Steve from Steve Searches on. He was on here last June, I believe, talking some Bigfoot up in the Great Northwest. We'll bring him out here in a few minutes.
Perfect.
Almost a week from Thanksgiving.
I know, right?
This year's going by way too fast. Way too fast.
I know. We're going to be ringing in 2026 soon.
I know. Make sure you are watching Blondes and Booze tomorrow. You guys have a pretty big announcement.
We do.
I don't know what it is.
You do too, you liar.
You did? Oh, was it what we talked about the other day?
It was in our Misfit chat.
Really? I got to pay more attention to that.
Yeah, you really do, because I put it in there to let the whole island of Misfits know first.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. You're gonna want to watch tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So make sure you're on Blondes and Booze tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I have not as big of an announcement as you do, but next December 10th, we will not have a show that night. I will be in a recording studio, cutting a demo for voice acting.
I know. I'm excited for you.
Man, I just wrapped up my last class, and I literally hung up with him like 5 minutes before the show aired.
Yeah.
So I have all my scripts ready to go. I've practiced with him. I have the studio all lined up and everything. So I am excited. I'm gonna have my demo reel done here pretty soon, and I might even share that with everybody on here. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Congratulations,
Paul. Thank you. I've been working hard at it. I've always kind of wanted to do this, but never really had the guts to do it. And I finally said, you know what, the hell with it. Let's just do it and hopefully make some money off it. So, and have a good time. So,
understand.
All right. Anyway,
real quick, when you bring up the guests, I'm going to mute myself and get up because I guess my computer's dying. I didn't have it charging, so I got to plug it in real quick.
Okay. All right. I'll bring Steve up.
Okay. I'll be right back too.
Okay. Let me find the mouse there. There's Steve. How you doing, buddy?
Evening. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Well, thank you.
First off, where up in the Great Northwest are you?
I am currently in Vancouver, Washington, which is
right across from Vancouver, Canada, right?
No, it's actually it's southwest Washington. In fact, it's just we're right on the north side of the Columbia River from Portland.
Oh, okay.
Portland, Oregon. So I mean,
gotcha.
So I'm literally like maybe 5 minutes from the border. So, and of course, we're right on Interstate I-5, which runs north and south.
Pancho George has been to Vancouver, Washington. Awesome.
Oh, nice.
That's an area that I really want to get out to, and one to go get in the woods and stuff and poke around. But it seems like a really cool, neat, beautiful area out there.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting. It's an interesting place to live. It's really we're maybe a bit over an hour from the coast. And of course, the coast, the Washington and the Oregon coast are pretty fun. A lot of little coastal towns and interesting things to do. We have that scenic Highway 101 that runs north and south, runs all along the coast. You can go all the way down into California from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a nice place to live in the summer. And then, of course, in the winter, it's cold and rainy and if you like that sort of thing.
Like everywhere else, cold and rainy and snowy. And
Krista, I haven't talked to you before. You're from Blondes and Booze, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Was she not? Were you not on the show when? I thought you were.
Probably not. No.
Oh.
No, when I was on here before, it was Natalie. Natalie was on.
Oh, back really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Steve.
Yeah, you too.
I thought it was Krista that was on here before.
You got too many women helping you co-host, so you get us confused. That's all.
Yeah.
Excuse the dog drinking in the background. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. So, I think the last time you were on here, you had a picture of, or you were talking, I refresh my memory. You had an image or something of something on a trail.
Well, yeah, we talked about a disappearing hiker.
Yeah, that's it. Disappearing hiker.
Yeah.
You know what?
That was one where I think you dug the video up and you showed a
that was on your channel.
Yeah.
Go to Steve Searches on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. I don't know if I'll be able to find it now, but
I'll look too.
But yeah, go to Steve's channel on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that. You had some pretty interesting things on there, stuff that you found in the woods, and all your expeditions in the woods are in there.
Cool.
So yeah, make sure you go out there and check that out. I'm sure somebody's going to have the link out here.
If I remember it, I think that hiker, if people want to find it, I think it's one of those. I don't remember which. No, I don't remember exactly what number it was, but it would have been back in about January. I think it would have been about last January.
Is your channel? Are you in front of a car?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in front of a black with a white top FJ.
Yep, I found it. So I can drop it in chat right now under Paul. I'll keep it up too. There we go.
Yeah.
And I subscribe to your channel too.
Oh, you do? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
somebody else was Pancho was number 438 on your channel. So awesome.
So
awesome.
I was
nice.
I was 439.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, can I say something real quick to Pancho since he's watching?
Sure.
He always says, "I'm here for the booze." Pancho, because of that, I think we're going to have a shirt made of that.
I'm here for the booze.
He always says that. I'm here for the booze.
Bigfoot was already subscribed. Awesome. Cool. Bigfoot Fadas was cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. So we're talking backstage a little bit, that you've been on more trips. You have a little bit more freedom with work and everything. So what all have you been up to?
Well, back in the day in the Neanderthal times, before I was in the Bigfoot research in the 90s, I spent quite a few years delving into the paranormal. And at the time, I'm originally from Montana. And at that time, I was living in Spokane. I lived in Spokane for about 20 years. And So one of the trips that I took, I went back to Spokane and kind of poked around there. And I took some other trips. Since the last time we talked, took a trip to Willow Creek and went down to Lovelock Cave. And then I made that trip to Spokane. Then I made a trip to Montana and poked around some of the old haunts there, because there's a lot of paranormal and kind of weird stuff where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big lake near, I grew up near a town called Kalispell, and there's that big lake, Flathead Lake. And there's, for decades, there's been stories of a Flathead Lake monster. But yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's what I've done maybe about half of the time.
Really?
Some of the other time I've poked around. Well, when I was on last time, we talked about the Klickitat ape cat, which was, and I had made a couple of videos on that. And of course, that area where the stories take place about this ape cat, just north of there's an area called Panther Creek. Mm-hmm. And so I spent a bunch more time up there in Panther Creek. I found some pretty interesting structures up there.
Interesting.
Actually, two pretty major ones.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What were they?
They were, one was right on a road, and it was like a big X with like a top, and sort of like a top on the bottom, and some other sort of structural things. It was about 20 feet long, probably. And
really?
It's right on the road. And yeah, I was just driving past, and I thought, God, it was just, I saw this thing right on the side of my peripheral vision. And yeah, I mean, there it was. It looks like some kind of like a barrier or a boundary that was placed there. So I had taken, over the course of the next few weeks, I took some other squatchers that I had been working with from down at Sweet Home, Oregon. And I took them up there, and I guess it must have been just maybe a week after that, I was back up there poking around, and I found another one just off the road, maybe 100 feet. It was actually a little bit longer than that one. Mm-hmm. So I set up some game cams back there. I didn't get any squatch. I got a cougar. There's a cougar walk through one of the spots I was in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a few hours after I set that cam up. So now when I go up there, I kind of keep my head on a swivel now, because I know there's at least one cat that hunts that area.
And that's really cool too. Like, you hear about people putting game trails. It's not just, for me anyway, it's just not about, capturing a Bigfoot or something like that. It's the actual wildlife that's there. That's really cool that comes through, that you.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. And now, there's a cougar, so pay attention.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that's just it is I don't, when I go out in the woods and when I go out and work, I don't go out with expectations. I mean, if I don't get I'll take a coyote any day of the week, or a bird or some deer. I mean, it really doesn't make me any difference either way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the cougar was, if you go out there and you check, see, for me, when I go out and I check my cards on the cams, if I see a bunch of files on there, I mean, to me, it's like Christmas, I don't know what's going to be on there, but it's going to be something cool,
Yeah.
Yeah. But the only thing too, sometimes it can backfire, because take it from me, Brandi and we were at the LBL, and we were staying in a cabin, and she had her camera like pointed out towards the woods. Well, that night it happened to get windy, so every leaf that would move, she had thousands of pictures. It was awful.
Yeah.
So it can backfire.
And then, all those pictures that would probably fill up the card. And then after the card is completely full, then you'll have some activity, a Bigfoot walk by or something.
Right.
They know.
Right.
Yep, that's
it. Yeah. The first time I set them out, I did almost exactly that same thing. I had set one up in a clear cut, because I had seen tracks through this access road through there. So I knew there were creatures, everything was moving through there. It was kind of like a highway. And the first time I set a camera up, I didn't, like an idiot, I didn't bother to check and just notice like all the weeds and stuff that were right in front of the camera. So I left it out there about a week, and I brought it in, and I had like 400 and some shots on it. And I thought, oh yeah, sweet, And then when I pulled them up, it was probably 350 of those were just weeds moving around.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have a question for Steve.
Okay.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm taking my medicine.
Oh.
I'm still on antibiotic from last week. Anyway, how often do you get out into the woods, Steve?
Well, I was for about the last 2 years since I started Steve Searches. I've gone out just about every weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
Really?
How long have you had Steve Searches?
And I started Steve Searches about, I think it must have been about January or February of last year.
Okay.
See, it originally it wasn't really when I first started squatching per se, but see, I'd been working missing persons since about 2010.
Oh wow.
And Steve Searches originally was a name that I came up with, and I put together a blog and stuff, but that was really intended to be a contact point for families to get in contact with me that would like my help with their missing loved one. Because I'm a mapper, I'm a map maker, and I use drones to create maps. And when I started, just maybe 5 years after I started volunteering with missing persons, I started providing maps, and that's kind of how I got into that. Well, what happened is not long after, I was just working a case outside of Boise, and right after I got back, I was at a restaurant, and I ran into some Bigfoot people, and I was telling about the mapping and drone mapping and stuff, and they had asked me if I would go out and drone map an area where they had found some interesting stuff, and they want to know what I'd charge them. And I said, oh man, I wouldn't charge anything for that. That sounds like kind of fun. So I went on and I did that job for them. And then after that, I got more emails and stuff from other Bigfoot people. And that's just kind of how I ended up working the Bigfoot area.
So we just had Chris and I have some friends that Greg Ogles and some other friends that were in the LBL a couple weeks ago, and even before that, they were doing a movie. Greg has his movie premiering in January 31st next year, called The Vanished, and it's a documentary on a couple cases of missing people. And what are your thoughts on that? They might have stepped through a portal and not known it. Bigfoot or dogmen have taken them, or what are your thoughts on some of that, since you've been doing some of these missing people reports?
Well, as far as the portal ideas, up to maybe about 5 years ago, I would have just totally poo-pooed that idea. But the more time I spend out in the field, the more it kind of seems to add up. And so I've kind of taken, maybe in about the last maybe 18 to 24 months, I've almost done a 180 from poo-pooing it, because I just keep running into this stuff, and tracks that end out in the middle of nothing. And I mean, when you run out of conventional explanations for stuff, I mean,
right.
And of course, once you say, if you consider, okay, well, what if this is true? What if there are portals swallowing people up and things like that? What would that look like? Well, would look like exactly what I keep running into.
Gotcha.
And that's not for me. It's not really anything new, because see, I grew up out in the country in Montana. I grew up on a farm. We spent a lot of time in the woods. I mean, we hunted, we fished, and And I remember even when I was a kid, we used to see things like that. We used to see tracks that would end and things like that. But when you're a kid, you don't really, you're kind of used to not really understanding a lot of things that you see, so you don't really give it too much thought. And now when I think back on a lot of that stuff, portals and almost seem to explain a lot of things now.
Yeah.
So can you talk about any of the cases that of the missing people that you've searched for that you thought, okay, this is kind of wonky. This isn't just a normal missing person?
Well, yeah. They all of the ones that I get involved with all have a strange element to them. And that's really because, but by the time I get involved, they're usually really old. They're old, cold cases. And what usually happens is, because mainly what I do is I provide accurate mapping for the searches. And mainly what happens is, but by the time they really need a lot of accurate mapping, it's because they've searched and searched and searched at different areas, and pretty soon things get lost in the mix and people forget where they searched and things like that. And then of course what happens is sometimes a decade or more later, other evidence or people that were quiet 10, 15 years ago now are willing to talk, especially like, some people get old and they die off. And, so, yeah, I mean, new evidence will come to light. And so they're all a little bit strange. I mean, really a lot of unsolved missing persons, they'll have strange elements to them.
So we have a case here in Missouri, let me tell you about that. It's down in southern Missouri by my blonde's partner, Brandi. And the guy was out deer hunting, and they found like his gun and stuff, but he was found separately. And like we've asked ourselves a lot of questions. I've been around hunting all my life. My dad, my brother, I mean, everybody hunts. So I know you don't leave your gun, especially if you're trailing a deer that you just shot, because you want to make sure that you put it out, things like that. I mean, have you run into different things, that kind of make you think, because see, to me, that's a weird one to me. Why would the guy have left his gun, to go?
Yeah. Right. But yeah, see, that's just it. I mean, if conventional wisdom really doesn't offer much as far as an explanation for something like that.
Right.
And well, almost a year ago, there, right north of where I'm at, maybe 5 miles from my squatching areas, there were two Sasquatch researchers that perished. That was right. It was
okay. I heard about that.
I think I did too.
It was Christmas Eve of last year. And where they found them was a little bizarre. They were, I don't remember exactly how far they were. I think they were roughly about maybe a mile from their truck. And they found them on the other side of a creek, or other parts of the U.S. people call it a creek. We always called it a crick where I grew up. So a crick or a creek, right?
Right.
So they find them on the other side of a creek, and they were separated, not far. Maybe I think if I remember the search and rescue said they found them. I think they found them about maybe a couple hundred yards apart, something like that. But they're on the other side of this creek. Well, the creek at that time, according to locals, would have been about 5 or 6 feet deep, and it would have been really, really rushing water at that time. And this is on Christmas Eve, so it would have been really cold out there. And of course, they died of exposure. Now, here's the weird thing is that the big question is why would they have crossed this creek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's moving that fast, why?
Right. And which, of course, would have meant that they would have had to cross it again to come back.
Right.
So,
weren't they seasoned investigators too? They weren't like new, just let's go to the woods, guys. They were like seasoned. They've done this a while.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, one kind of strange, maybe strange, maybe not thing was that the names of them are really hush hush. They didn't release the names to the public. And I'll just go out on a limb a little bit. I didn't know one of them. I didn't know him personally, but I had talked to him a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And I had talked to him on a Squatch Fest, and I only remembered him because only a few days after that happened, I had gotten a message from a relative, and she was asking me if I knew anything about this, and I said, well, just what I read, just what I heard. Well, turned out that this person worked with her boyfriend, and so she sent me a copy of the GoFundMe, and I pulled this GoFundMe up, and I knew this guy. I was like, oh, I know this guy. I don't know him, but I've talked to him.
Sure.
But anyhow, part of it was, what the odd thing was, is that they airlifted the bodies out. Nobody knows why. But you see, and this is the weird thing. The weird thing that I find is that they were on the other side of that creek. And why would they cross a creek like that?
Right.
Especially, for one, they weren't prepared. They were only on a day hike, so they weren't prepared for an overnight. They didn't take sleeping bags or things like that.
They probably didn't have anything to be able to cross the creek in, like, water boots or whatever.
Right. So, and so that wouldn't have been part of their plan.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are, other researchers that we talk about this stuff. Some people are suggesting, well, maybe they either were chasing something that they wanted to find, or maybe they were being chased by something.
Right.
Well, in this case, now it's a good thing you're sitting down, because I have a little kind of a weird idea about it.
Okay.
But it's a little bit crazy. But what I was thinking, and I'm not saying I believe it, but it was just a thought that I had. What if they had been picked up and they were gone, and then they were dropped off? It's just that when they were dropped off, they happened to be dropped off on the other side of the creek, and they couldn't get back.
Right. Are you talking about picked up by Bigfoot or alien?
Maybe.
I mean, you hear stories of cattle mutilation and cow mutilation, that you're picked up in a field and then they're dropped several yards away or completely different location from where they were last seen.
Right.
So, to me, that makes a lot of sense as well.
Right. Well, if you look at it, I mean, if say theoretically, if they had been abducted and then returned to the place, what would that look like? What if they could just be returned and they just happen to be dumped off the wrong side of the creek, and now they're out there, and now they can't? I mean, if this is water rushing and this is 5 foot high, I mean, that's not something that you walk through.
Exactly. And then so that could explain why they're airlifted then. I mean, if there's a possible connection with extraterrestrials taking them, or they might have seen markings on them or something when they picked them up. So that theory kind of rings more true to me than a lot of other ones.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of one of my one of my thoughts on that. But yeah, I mean, it's just like Krista, you were saying, on the surface, this stuff has just got things that don't add up.
Mhm.
And there's so many weird encounters out there of missing people or maulings or whatever, and they blame on like dogs or bears or things like that. But yet all this weird stuff, like
Mhm.
I've told the story of the Amazon driver,
Yeah, I
and
was
I
just
mean
thinking that.
there's just nothing right about that, and but they cover it up, just and they blame it on the dogs, and
Yeah.
there's several out there that they blame
It
on dogs.
Yeah, it just happened to be a pit bull or Rottweiler or whatever kind of dog it was that yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it kind of reminds me of the Roswell incident when they blamed it on a weather balloon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost like one of the most ridiculous things that you can blame it on.
Kind of taking the easy way out to, not say that it was aliens or whatever. Just, it was, he was attacked by a bear or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those things, I don't think they're necessarily like aliens. I do believe, I mean, we all know like bears and cougars and stuff will maul you. Wild hogs we have here in southern Missouri, all that will get you. But, when they start not disclosing things and weird things start happening, I think there's more to it. I don't think it's alien abduction. I think it's more along the lines of like a dog man or something like that. That's just my opinion. But,
Yeah. I mean, it could be a bunch of different things. I mean, yeah,
Right.
I don't think it doesn't sound to me like they would have just wandered across the creek and been caught there. I mean, if they got over there, they would be able to get back, right?
Right.
Sure. Well, initially, I mean, before I had really looked into it, I think that the first thought that I had, even like in that first week or so after it happened, I figured that they probably got turned around and then they couldn't find their way back, and then of course they
could have
they got pulled, and I made a video on it about a week after about a week or so after it happened. But that was mainly because there was a lot of people on social media, and there, and of course, social media, there's always a lot of yapping on there, but a lot of people were saying things like, well, why don't they just make a fire and stay warm and stuff like that. Well, I put a video together to kind of show why some of these things would not be possible. I mean, in these areas up like that, I mean, something like that. I mean, it might seem like that would work in theory, but you get up there and you can see why something like that would not be.
Wow.
There's nothing to make a fire with up there, and of course,
and everything's wet too up there in the Pacific Northwest anyway,
everything, especially at that time. In fact, that area up there had already had snow up there, and the snow had melted. They'd had a few skiffs that had melted, and of course, that makes everything wet. Yeah.
So I get that, where they couldn't make a fire. Right. And if it was just a day trip, I mean, they might not have brought a lighter, even,
Sure.
They weren't planning on staying for a campfire,
Yeah. And then humans, of course, when humans do things like go out in the woods and things like that, when they get into trouble, by the time they're willing to admit that they are in trouble or to acknowledge that they're in trouble, they're already half, they're further past the point that they should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get up there and you get wet, and then you get cold, and pretty soon you can't feel things and you can't think straight. And
that kind of reminds me of, I mean, it didn't end the same way as your investigation did there. So there's a story in one of BMR's books about a hiker or camper, I can't remember which it was in the woods and got disoriented and lost time, lost location and stuff. And, maybe something like that happened to these two. I mean, who knows? I mean,
that could be.
Yeah.
It's easy for that to happen in the woods up here because, this time of year it's overcast 24/7. So if you don't have a compass or something like that, if if you get on a trail or something, that's you'd be fine. But if you get off trail and you get turned around, then you're in trouble up here, because you can't tell what you can't orientate yourself. You can't see any sun. There's no shadows or anything like that. The light is flat. So
but I mean, if these guys were seasoned hikers,
Sure.
it might be a little more difficult.
Well, see, that was just it. Is that they weren't off the trail. There's a trail that goes right up to the spot where they found them. I mean, they weren't on the trail, but where the trail runs into this creek, they were on both sides. One guy was here and one guy was here.
Yeah.
So they had clearly would have known where the trail was.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you guys go out and reopen this investigation, and has there been any kind of updates on it that you know of?
There isn't really. I mean, it's just there's just a few researchers like myself that had kind of looked into it after it happened, but there's not, as far as I know, as far as any official investigations per se, there's not anything like that.
Gotcha.
Not that I'm aware of, anyhow.
It was really weird. I just got a weird chill that went up my spine.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it's not cold.
Where you been, Paul?
Right here. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know if you guys saw me shiver, but that was weird. I haven't had that happen.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Have you ever EMF metered your place before?
I got one going the whole time.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I mean, it goes off every now and then, and people have seen others in here, so I don't know. I got these two creepos over here.
I found an old cemetery with one of those once.
Do what?
I said I found an old cemetery with one of those ones. With a
One
meter.
of the K2
Oh,
meters?
I thought you meant the black-eyed kids. So
I could try that.
So you've gone through cemeteries. I mean, Krista and I were kind of talking about that. What are your thoughts about that? What's lurking in cemeteries?
Well, one of the places that I was trying to cover, I kept running into brick walls when I was in Spokane, and one of them I wanted to show that and tell the story about this old cemetery that I found, and it was right after. Do you remember way back in the day? Remember Meetup.com? People would. It was a website that this probably would have been in like the late 90s or early 2000s.
Right about the time when AOL or MySpace.
Yeah, it was probably about
I think
just
so.
maybe just the post AOL days when people started to use the internet. But there was a website called Meetup.com, and I'm sure it's still up. But people with similar interests would meet on. First, they would meet. It was kind of like a message board type of thing. But then what they would do is they start to meet in real life. And so I had met up with some other people that were interested in paranormal. We started meeting at a restaurant. Anyhow, so when we were working on trying to get some gear together, I had bought this cheap EMF meter online, and I was taking it out and trying it out. Well, there was this area not too far from where I lived where they had these transmission lines, and of course there used to be a lot of to do about those transmission lines and have an EMF things that were affecting people's health. And so I thought, well, a good place to go try my meter would be down where these lines are. So I poked around down there and one day, and I was walking back to my truck, and I was walking through this grassy area. This is right on the outskirts of Spokane, and my meter started going off. And I thought, well, that was weird because it hardly went off when I was at the transmission lines, but I go through this area and it went off. And so I played around with it and I didn't think too much of it, and I left. Well, then I got curious. Next day I went back. I went back to this area, and I walked around for a little while, and pretty soon it goes off. So I poked around in there and felt like I stepped on like a brick or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled the grass aside, and it was only about that big, but it was a gravestone.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's small for a gravestone.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, it was from like maybe the 1870s or 1880. It was.
Oh, wow.
And so anyhow, to make a long story short, I took a dowel down there, poked around in the ground, and after a while, after about maybe a weekend or so, I wound up finding about maybe almost 30 graves down there. It was an old cemetery that was long forgotten. So then when I took this trip back to Spokane over the summer, I went to show it because I wanted to make a little story on it. And somebody must have bought the property because there was a big chain link fence around it. There's a big building that was built there. It wasn't built on where the cemetery was. I could still see roughly where the cemetery was, but yeah, it was just pretty weird how I found that with the old cheap EMF meter.
Yeah.
That's, we have a cemetery. Paul, you've been up there to the one at Emmaus.
I know about it. I don't think I've been up there.
Oh, you haven't been up there. No. Oh, I thought you'd been.
It's right up that's the back entrance, or not the back entrance, leading off to that bridge where the pigs. Yeah.
And so it's like that. It's abandoned. It's not taken care of. Some of the graves are sunk in. It's one of those.
That was before I didn't want to get in the woods. Now I'll walk right through that door and go right up there.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So Pam had a question here. Why are Bigfoot and dogmen seen in cemeteries so much? What's their attraction to it, you think?
That's probably something that I've never explored, that question, because I don't think that I myself, I don't think that I can recall. I don't think that I've seen really signs in cemeteries of Bigfoot per se, but it's been quite a while since I've really gone into cemeteries. I used to go into them all the time when I was researching paranormal, but maybe I should do that, because another point on that would be, back when I spent a lot of time in cemeteries, I wouldn't have known to look for any Bigfoot sign. So maybe that would be a good idea to start looking over some of these old cemeteries. That's a good question. It's a curious question.
I know of several cemeteries that people claim to have seen dogman more so than Bigfoot in the cemetery, or surrounding the area, that kind of thing. And there's actually a grave. There's a cemetery, one of the cemeteries at the LBL, that supposedly a dogman came out of that grave. So
interesting.
But what is up at that cemetery, I can tell you this, on a spiritual level, it is very, very negative. There's a really, really nasty entity up at that cemetery. So I don't know if it goes hand in hand. I don't know.
I've always thought of the a difference between, and I'm not saying I'm right, but and I could get spanked for this, but I've always seen like a Bigfoot as being sort of more like a completely physical being. Like maybe something that evolved parallel to us,
right?
But a dog man to me is more like kind of something evil, maybe a manifestation of evil in a like an animal-like form. See, we've started getting dogman reports up in this area over just this last couple of years. It's pretty new for up here, and I haven't delved into the dogman stuff yet. And to be honest with you, it's to me that dogman is a little scary.
It's a lot.
I was just thinking that,
dangerous. It's like playing with a Ouija board with fur or something.
I like that, a Ouija board with fur.
Right.
What an anomaly.
I'm gonna write that down. Ouija board with fur. That's gonna go in my notes. I have a little thing of notes that I take. I'm gonna.
He does.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, though. I've never been asked that.
Yeah.
But that would be
But you had talked about the Bigfoot, being the flesh and blood, and I believe that can happen too, because that's what I saw. That's what Brandi saw. But then somebody like Bigfoot Michigan Rob, his morphed, so his is more on like a spiritual type level. So I believe they can be both.
right. Well, it would stand to reason that it could be both. I mean, if you see, ghosts appear as humans.
Yeah.
And you see all kinds of reports of people that have had interactions and sat there and talked to a ghost. And later on, at the time they didn't even know that's what it was, but later on, so sure. Yeah. Especially, when you spend a lot of time, on the field, and I keep running into this stuff, and it's almost like, for lack of any conventional explanations, it's just the less conventional you can explain stuff, the more things now come on the table.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I know myself, I used to, probably wasn't that long ago when, just like most people, believe that we humans, we understand most things, and there's maybe a little handful of stuff, sitting off in a corner somewhere that we don't understand. But I think it's quite the opposite. I think that little Ziploc bag of stuff sitting in the corner, that's stuff we do understand. Everything else we don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I completely agree with that. So go ahead.
Yeah. Have you ever taken like paranormal ghost hunting equipment out to the woods?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, I took an EMF reader out to that. Only a few months ago, I took one out to where I had experienced the disappearing hiker. Okay. I didn't get anything at that time. But a lot of this stuff too is kind of, it's like this, to use a passé term, it's a process. You can go out in the woods today and look for a coyote, and you might go out 100 times and not see a coyote. There's plenty of coyote out there. And these are the same thing. So yeah, see, nowadays I've put together sort of a kit that I take with me. I take with me in a sling bag, and it includes an EMF. It includes EMF meters. It includes audio.
Have you ever had the EMF area or meter spike in the woods?
I've had it. Yeah, I have gotten readings in different places. In fact, there's one.
That's really cool, especially being in the woods, because there's no electricity. There's no.
Where's that going to come from?
Right.
Yeah.
You can explain it off here in town all day long.
Yeah.
But not out there. And,
right.
And it's not only that, but I've heard like metal banging sounds out in the woods before, where there's nothing steel out there. I just hear like a bang.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people say the same thing.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot more stories lately with the metal. Yeah.
Well, we recorded it. We have it on an EVP. And once again, it was at the Land Between the Lakes at a cemetery. 2:00 in the afternoon, and it sounded like a door closing, like a metal door slamming shut. And we were there. Martin Groves was one of the people we were there with, and we let him listen to it. He heard that sound when he was having his encounter.
What do you think, Steve? What do you think that is? Is it a Bigfoot that's maybe mimicking that, or some really weird phenomenon that's happening in the woods that we just don't know?
I can only guess. And so, sometimes I think that, especially if you're in one of these, if you're out poking around in one of these areas where there tends to be activity, what would stop just some things from just leaking through?
Mm-hmm.
like a sound or something like that. Well, I mean, it's just like with that. It's just like with that hiker. The hiker just
Disappeared.
yeah. I mean, and I have no idea how long the hiker was there before. It could have been 5 seconds, could have been 5 hours. But if sometimes if things just sort of like leak through like that, maybe that hiker wasn't even supposed to be there. Maybe it's just some sort of anomaly there was some sort of an event with an anomaly, and something got through, was out and was in, back out again. And maybe sounds and things like that can do that. Maybe that's a sound firm.
Interesting.
Well,
Now,
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Refresh my memory. Did you speak to this hiker?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
it was
just from a distance. Okay. All right.
No, it was. I had started hiking on this trail. It was back in an area where I camped pretty exclusively last year, and there was a sort of a game trail that starts at that camp spot, and then there's a big clear cut right maybe 100 yards from there, and these game trails kind of go along the sides of that clear cut, and I had been spending time back there because I would find a lot of animal signs. But anyhow, I have I have one of those chest mount GoPros, and I put my GoPro on there, and when I start, I'll turn it on, and then I'm always yapping because I'm always thinking out loud. That just ends up in video. Well, I had just started on this trail, and my GoPro shut off. And so I turned it back on, and it kept shutting off. It shut off 3 times. And I thought, well, that was kind of weird and I thought, well, usually I just think, well, the battery died, but I always charge all my batteries before I go out. So I just started hiking, and my GoPro went off for about a 3rd time. And right about that time, I saw a hiker coming up the other way, and he wasn't very far. He was like maybe 50 yards or something like that. And so I stepped off to the side on this trail to deal with my GoPro, and I had opened it up. I was going to change batteries up, and I just had glanced up, and the hiker, there was no hiker there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I don't know, maybe he just didn't want to have an interaction or something, just took off. And so I got my battery back, and then my GoPro ran fine. So I go down the trail, and I look for signs for this hiker, and there was no hiker anywhere.
Wow.
And so it had snowed up there about a week before. And so I went out, and I went to leave, and I thought, well, I'll look around and see where this person had to have parked, because it had snowed, and when they plow, it always leaves a wall of snow on the sides of that. So if somebody's parked there, because they've gone through that snow. I went up and down that road for half an hour, for miles.
Nothing.
I was the only person there, probably within 30, 40, 50 mile radius of that whole. I was the only person there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can see, and it's just like when we were looking at the video before, you can see a hiker on the video. I zoomed in.
Yeah, 100%.
On the video, and there was a hiker there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you go out by yourself?
Yeah, wow. Most of the time. Every once in a while, if somebody wants to go, sometimes I'll take once in a while I'll take a guest. Like sometimes I'll take my son or might go with me. He goes with me here and there, but as a general rule, most everything I do is solo.
Wow.
And that's part of what I do in my videos is I address the solo thing, because it's like one of those things where I don't really recommend it. It's not a good idea. In fact, it's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Or at least let somebody know where you're at and when you'll be back, or
Yeah. I have a pretty comprehensive list of things that I do to keep from to make sure that I come back. And I cover those a lot in my videos, things to do and things to think about, especially when you're solo.
Sure.
We have a couple questions here, Starred, real quick, if you don't mind. This one, there was one from Mike Bothwell. That's a really good question. I'll get to that in just a second. I've heard that their mimicking is tremendous, just like their mouth pops in
Mhm.
crazy metal. Question: do you have two sets of vocal cords?
Do
Do
they
they
have?
have two sets? I know we don't, but do they have two sets?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I guess
Mhm.
I wouldn't. I'm not sure if we would really know. I mean, unless until we actually had a specimen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe we do have a specimen.
It's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who knows? You know, maybe they're just maybe they're really good at making sounds. I mean, humans can.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see these people on these movies that sound like sound like real live machine guns and things like that.
Yeah. Was it what the police academy? The guy in the police academy movies sounds like a helicopter, sirens, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there been one experiencer where you just couldn't shake what you saw or felt that's genuinely scared you and you won't ever forget?
Oh yeah, more than one. But probably the 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 real first experience that I had right after. See, I moved here. I moved here from Spokane back in '05, and see, I'm really close to Mount St. Helens, and that's my main squatching. That's my main research areas are all around Mount St.
Very
Helens.
cool.
There's a place called Ape Cave, and that's kind of a story altogether. But
Mhm.
back, it was just a few years after I moved here. I think it was in about '08 or '09. I was up there poking around, and see, Ape Cave is it's not really a cave, it's a lava tube. It's a little over a mile long. And it's
Mhm.
just underground, about maybe 20 feet underground. And
Mhm.
when you go up there, when you go to the main entrance, there's a parking lot up there. When you go to the main entrance, to it is not at an end. It's about roughly halfway through. And so that's where the main entrance is. And then just west of that, at the very end of it, there's another entrance. Well, there's a trail that goes from that main entrance to that far entrance. So if you want to go down there, you don't have to go through the cave. If you don't want, you can go down there. Well, right next to this trail, there's sort of like this big open area. It's not a clear cut per se because it's not logged out. It's just a big open area, and there's kind of some volcanic rock work out there. So when you're out there in this area, I used to go around and climb around on them rocks and stuff. And of course, those rocks are like you're actually over top of the cave. Well, I was out there one time, and it must have been about 7 in the morning, and I thought by this time I had been going up there frequently because I liked going in the cave. And I was out there in that open area, and I'd been climbing around those rocks, and I kind of stopped and stood there. And I thought there's something weird about this place. And it dawned on me that it was just really quiet. It was quiet, and it's never quiet up in the Gifford Pinchot. There's always squirrels and
Mm-hmm.
birds, but this was quiet. It was almost like those booths they put you in when you get your hearing tested.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how they're just dead silent.
Right.
And that's the way it was up here. And I stood there thinking, why is this there's just something out of place here. And then I could smell something, and it smelled like,
Uh-oh.
what a horse smells like?
I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a horse kind of has its own kind of smell. It's kind of like a salty, pungent smell. The only thing I've ever smelled like that before was a camel. Camels smell the same way, only they're a lot stronger. But that was what that was what I smelt up there. But it was weird because it was out in the middle of this open area, and it was just dead silent, and I could smell this. And for some reason, I just kept thinking to myself, and I was looking in the tree lines, and I kept thinking, there's something in this tree line. I can't see it, but I can smell it. And obviously all the other animals or whatever living creatures around, they must have seen it and smell it too, and they decided to to shut the heck up.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for maybe 5-6 minutes or something like that. And then it was just like the sound came back. And
Wow.
I never forgot about that. And see, that was before I was really into the Squatch research.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, and I never forgot about, that was one I definitely never forgot about that. And every time I go up to Ape Cave, I always think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to kind of ask you about, you said you were by around Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories when that erupted, in the early 80s, that they actually got Bigfoot bodies out of there, some living, some deceased. And what do you think about that?
Well, I haven't really looked into that one,
mm-hmm.
but I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Because as usual, with things like that, there's a lot of hush hush around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those things where nobody knows anything about it until like years later, when people that were involved with it, they get older, and now they're less afraid of what's going to happen to them now if they start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
If
I had heard that they
40 years old,
that they had gotten like injured Sasquatch out of there, and some that had passed, and like there was a bunch of them from what I know of it. I just didn't know if you knew any more to it or not.
Right. Yeah, that's something I haven't really looked into. I mean, it's just I probably, you probably know as much as I do about that. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. It would be fun to delve into that, especially living right here.
Right.
All that right here.
Yeah. Yep.
And if they do have those bodies, and well, I'm sure they're deceased by now, where did they go?
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That'll be
Where do they go?
Yeah.
There's probably
some government lab somewhere.
Watch Area 51 somewhere.
Yeah. Of course there is.
Yeah. Ann H. Hi, Ann. Welcome. Does Steve prefer day or night searches?
Good question.
Well, I do both.
Mm-hmm.
And this year actually was probably this year I did quite a few night searches. Last year I did maybe one, and then this year I've done about a half a dozen. And of course they're in my videos.
Mm-hmm. And have you found they're more active day or night, or does it not matter?
I haven't really, as far as Squatch activity, I haven't really noticed really much of a difference. But the thing is most of the things that I've turned up are pretty circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
They're not only things like prints, but most of the sounds that I've heard, especially that I would attribute to the possibility, at least, of them being a Sasquatch, those seem to occur in the early morning hours.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
Sure. Interesting.
But yeah, I like going out. I like going out at night because a lot of the other creatures then are kind of bedded down and it's a little bit more quiet. So if there's something to be heard that's a little out of the ordinary, it seems like they occur more at night. And in fact, you'll notice that a lot of the audio recordings that other researchers have gotten, they tend to get those at night.
Yeah.
So I think that for the most part, if a researcher really wants to get those audio recordings and stuff, you pretty much got to get out there and at night. It's not ideal because night, especially walking around in the woods at night, can be a little bit more dangerous, and it's not just because of the animals, but it's really because of the like the terrain. In fact, I was showing in this last video that I put out, I was showing some areas where you'd be walking around and there would just be a hole in the ground.
Sure.
Well, if you stepped in that out in the woods and you're by yourself, then you could really be in trouble. But yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I think if I have my druthers, I'd still rather operate at night than in the day.
Do you prepare differently for going out at night as opposed to going out during the day?
Yeah.
I mean, besides the obvious, having flashlights and maybe possible fire starter equipment with you or whatever.
Yeah. Well, usually, especially when I go out at night, for first and foremost, I pack a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I take a sidearm with me at night, and then of course, there's always that possibility of getting turned around or things like that. So I don't pack like a sleeping bags or anything like that, but I usually make sure in my gear I have kind of basic survival things. I make sure I have waterproof matches and an emergency blanket and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, then I usually use thermal primarily at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My boss. Well, you're reading my mind, brother, because I've seen on here a couple of people say they just subscribed over here to you, and I just checked her at 443. And I, in my head, I was just saying, let's get him to 450 tonight. It'd be great to get you to 500 as well. Let's get him to 450 and see where we go from that. And then that popped up. So, but that's awesome. That's awesome. People are liking this.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Man, I was going to ask you a question and I completely lost it. Do you? Oh man, I can't find it now. Wow, that was weird. Haven't had one of those in a long time. Okay, thank you. Have you? So you're up in the Great North. I keep starting with have you? You're up in the Great Northwest and everything, and you've been to Montana. Is there other places around you that you go to that's not in Washington, maybe not in California, but are nearby, maybe Utah or something like that?
Well, there's just north of where I'm at, there's the Olympics.
Yep.
And there's some pretty interesting, there's some pretty weird stuff up there.
Oh yeah.
And there's also some really pretty places, like the whole rainforest is up there. So every once in a while, I haven't gotten up there this year. But come springtime, I plan on spending a lot of time up there. In fact, there's Thomas Sowell has a shop up there in Forks,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a pretty well-known squatcher around here.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken with him a few times, and he's invited me to go up there before. I just haven't gone yet. But yeah, the Olympics definitely has a lot of potential. In fact.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I was up there would have been, it must have been maybe a year ago, August or something. When you go, the Olympics are really something else when you go out in there, because I believe that it's the Olympics is, I believe that there is the one categorized as a rainforest, the one in the whole U.S. But it's pretty bizarre when you go in there. It's like being on another planet.
I don't know if you need one right now, but Bigfoot Pedas, if Steve needs to come see me for a haircut, she's in Oregon City, so if you need a haircut, I can hook you up.
Yeah, I know I'm starting to look like a hippie.
I'm letting mine go. I'm nowhere near Oregon City, so I can't go out that way just for a haircut.
Well, I'm just happy to still have some hair. Really.
Me too. Have you ever researched in Canada? And if not, would you like to?
No,
I don't know if that's an invitation or not.
I've been to Canada a few times, I think, like back in the early 2000s. But I haven't operated up there, but I would like to. There's a lot of especially up in like British Columbia. There's some pretty interesting stuff up there.
Mm-hmm. So you've mentioned Canada. Is there any place that is on your bucket list that you just have to go to? Somewhere, anywhere in the world?
Hmm. Well, I would like to see Land Between the Lakes.
Mhm.
That looks like some interesting stuff, and I would like to. I'd like to go down into Arizona, around in Sedona,
Mhm.
places
Yeah.
I can go poke around, but I don't want to go down for like a week, something like that. I want to go down for like a month, and just
Oh, that would be cool.
have time to just poke around in these places and just
Yeah.
spend some time like in the same way that I've spent up in Mount St. Helens. Because a lot of times when I go up, like these videos that I crank out, they're 15, 20 minutes, and it's obviously it's all little cherry pick bits and pieces that I pull out of things that happen while I'm up there, and I put them together trying to make a video out of them. But the stretches of time in between all of those little events are hours, because
Mhm.
I go up, I'll find a spot and I'll just sit and listen for an
Mhm.
hour or two, then maybe move to another spot for a little while, rinse and repeat.
Nice.
Wow.
And that would be nice too, with some of these things that, like Land Between the Lakes and like Sedona and these places like that. I don't want to go as a tourist. I want to go and just be able to do that.
Yeah.
Be there until I'm ready to leave. Maybe I won't ever leave.
Right. Have you been out there sitting and I mean, I've had it happen and others have had it happen where the whole forest goes quiet. Like you don't hear birds chirping, you don't hear bugs, frogs, you don't hear nothing. Have you had that?
Yeah, I've had that happen quite a few times.
And that's creepy. It's really creepy
Right.
feeling, when that happens. It really is.
It is. It feels
Mhm.
unnatural.
Correct. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen yet, but that would be really unsettling.
Well, it has it, or at least for me, when that happens,
Mm-hmm.
I also get that feeling of you get that feeling of being watched.
Yeah.
Even though technically you go out in the woods, you're being watched anyhow. I mean, there's plenty of eyeballs on you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
But you
One
don't
creature
really
or
notice it
another.
so much until something weird happens, like when it gets quiet like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would be, yeah.
Right.
That would really be. I mean, I'm used to in the haunted locations, having that eerie, weird feeling, but in the woods, I think that would freak me out.
Yeah.
It does. It's
Yeah.
different. It's
Especially when you go out solo, because it's
Oh
like
God,
always, it's always in the back of your mind that there's no 911. You have to
Yeah.
be your own 911. And of course, the places where I go, there's never cell service where I go.
Mm-hmm.
No.
All the squatching areas that I go, they're all in pockets up in the mountains.
Yeah.
In fact, as a general rule, I don't get cell service back until I'm all the way back down into the valley again.
Really? Wow.
So, yeah.
So yeah, if you ever make your way out to the LBL, we're about 4 hours away
3
or
hours.
so, 3 hours or so
Mhm.
away from the LBL. So yeah,
Yep.
let me know.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that would be a fun trip.
Yeah, it would.
That would be a good trip.
And like I said, we were talking backstage here in up in Marthasville, up close to Krista. We had that one night after our conference back in September where we had all kinds of tree knocks, weird sounds coming from the forest, weird lights coming from the forest. So there's stuff going on in there too, I think.
By the way, do you work, Paul, Saturday night?
This Saturday, yeah.
Do you work Sunday?
Yep.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
I got to go to Emmaus. I was going to see if you wanted to come out there.
I'd love to, but I'm working straight through to Thanksgiving.
Didn't mean to sidetrack there.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, so to get to these places that are far, do you drive or do you fly or?
No, most of the areas that I research in are just a little over an hour drive from where I'm at.
Oh wow, you're close.
That's really it's one of the reasons I don't really camp that much out there, because it's not really that practical.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really that much of a reason to. I mean, I can get up like sometimes, especially like on a weekend. So sometimes I'll go to bed early and I'll wake up at maybe midnight or so, and then I'll just head out. I'll head out for the day. So I'll get up there. If I get up there, 1:32 in the morning, then there's still plenty of night left.
Yeah.
Right.
To go hike around and stuff. So a lot of times that's usually what I end up doing.
Yeah. That's kind of like us. I mean, we're close to a couple of these locations. Chris is about 40 minutes northwest of me. There's Emmaus that's an hour from me. A couple other places that are pretty close. So I mean, you don't have to worry about staying overnight someplace. Just drive on home, and it's a pretty easy drive to get home. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you come down to the LBL, I mean, if you drive, I mean, you probably come through St. Louis. You come pretty close. We could take you up to Emmaus, and we can see what you can see up there. I mean, that has a lot of things. I mean, that has the haunted asylum. That has the forest and stuff all around it. So
well, and we also had UFO activity out there.
UFO activity. That's another thing. You talked about paranormal and cryptid stuff. Have you ever seen any UFO activity?
Oh yeah, that goes back to when I was a kid. We've seen them out where I grew up. I grew up on a farm outside of Kalispell, about 12 miles, in a little place called Creston. And I have photos of one that I shot when I was a kid.
Really?
And yeah, you hear stories about the cigar-shaped ones, UFOs. We saw one once when I was a kid. My sister and I did. Well, it wasn't just us, but other people, the other farmers that lived around it, they saw the same thing on the same day. And yeah, we heard a big boom one time, and we thought it was a sonic boom because that was fairly common out there. I mean, that would have been in the 70s, in the mid 70s, 75, 76. And of course, the Air Force would fly out there a lot. And so we ran outside one time because we wanted to see the plane. Usually when you heard a sonic boom, you'd see the plane. We ran out to see the plane, but what we saw, that wasn't a plane. It was the cigar-shaped one. And my dad at the time was out driving tractor in the field. When he came back that night, he was telling us that he saw this thing that looked like a cigar up in the air. Well, we had seen the same thing. And I mean, that for me, that kind of goes back a long ways.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, there were
all kinds of different encounters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
but we always thought that was just kind of normal, I mean, that was back in the 70s, and it was back before the internet and stuff, and people that you interacted were
the good old days.
You knew. Yeah. I mean, all the farmers, all us kids all knew each other because we all went to the same school, went to school together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We just thought it was just normal,
It seems like you're pretty open to all this paranormal stuff and cryptid stuff. Is this something that has passed down in your generations? Parents, grandparents have seen these things too, or?
Well,
I mean, we all seem like we're in the same age category where our grandparents, they just didn't talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. I think it's, my parents. I think they just tried not to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But where I grew up, there was, especially back when I was a kid, there was always a lot of these. There was a lot of stories about things like Satanists, and there was excuse me, I'm sorry.
All right.
There's a lot of like lore in the town, around the town that we grew up in, and there was a there's a park. It's a state park. It's called Lone Pine State Park, and it's right outside of town. I'll tell you just a quick little anecdote. My parents used to talk about. Remember, see, my parents were World War II generation, greatest generation folks, and so when we were kids, it was common for us to go on Sunday drives. We go to church, and then after church, I'm sorry, after church, we'd usually go on a picnic or go on a drive. And I remember one time when we were little, my sister and I were really little, and they used to talk about these three old witches that lived in this cabin out here by this park. And they used to talk about how the teenagers back when they were teens would go out there and like make fun of them, but they said that they were guarded. They had these three white wolves that would guard their cabin. And this was just like a story that they used to talk about. And they talked about quite a bit, but when they were talking about it, they weren't telling us about it. We were just sitting in the back seat along for the ride, and they would be reminiscent about it. Well, by the time I got into high school, when you went up to this park, there was a spot up there where there was a chimney. And evidently there was a cabin up there at one time, and the cabin burned down. But this chimney was left over, and we used to go up there and drink beer. That was where we had our, we'd bring our keggers up there, and we'd make fires in the chimney. Well, one time, and of course that was seemed like that fit that story.
Yeah.
And one time, I must have been about 16, and we used to smoke a lot of weed back then. And I had this Chevy truck, and we used to go up there, and I'd flip my tailgate down, and I'd put my speakers on. We'd listen to tunes, and we'd sit there on the tailgate and have a little tailgate party. Well, we were out there one time, and it was in the summer, and we were sitting there on my tailgate, and a couple of buddies and I, and I saw up the road, it looked like somebody's dog, and I thought, somebody's dog's out here running around, but it was a white dog. I couldn't see it very good because it was just getting to be dusk, And this dog is just walking, just sort of nonchalantly toward us. And then another white dog comes out and is walking behind that dog. Not immediately behind it, but maybe 50 yards back or something like that. And that was when I started to remember about this story about these witches and these white wolves. So we decided that was probably a good time to get out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always remember, I never forgot that. But that was like in that same area up there, up where the park is on the top of the mountain. You know how, a lot of these little towns, they'll put a letter up there, which is the first letter of their town.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Where we were, it was the Flathead Valley, and so it was the Flathead High School, and so we had a big F up there. And I remember kids used to tell us when I was in junior high, town kids, we wouldn't have seen this stuff, but because we're out in the country, but town kids used to always tell us about how when they were little, at night in the summertime, they could see lights going up there that side of the hill at the F, and it was Satanists were going to have their black masses there.
Wow,
that's creepy.
That's scary. Yeah.
So I mean, we kind of grew up with this stuff, but kind of like what you said, it was just kind of odd that it was like our parents didn't want to tell us those stories, but we would still hear them anyhow.
Sure.
And if something were to happen and you see something, and the parents, oh yeah, it's just your imagination, it's
right,
nothing. And are these kids having, are they really imaginary friends or are they actually seeing something?
Right.
But yeah, they just chalk it up as
basically. I mean, as kids, we would always just be told, don't ask, stop asking, don't ask that stuff.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Interesting stuff. So where are you? So you get out most weekends. Where are you headed to this weekend, or what you got?
Well, I'll probably head out to the usual haunts, and that's mainly because now that hunting season's over, there's some of the roads up there, they'll gate off here pretty soon, because they're just in that part of Mount St. Helens. There's about 3 or 4 snow parks up there. So what they'll want to do is they'll gate the roads off at a certain point, usually about where the snow parks are, because then it'll just be access for people with snowmobiles or cross country ski or things like that.
Yeah.
So some of these places like Lava Canyon and Ape Canyon, where you can find the trailheads, you won't be able to drive up there here probably after the end of this month. So I'm getting all the info that I can out of them right now. I was up there yesterday. I'll probably go back out tomorrow.
Nice.
But
very nice.
Always out in the woods.
It's getting chilly up there. You know that.
Yeah.
You know that chilly that you when you can tell that it's just trying to snow. It's just waiting to snow. There's that cold.
It kind of looked like that here today. It was just an overcast, dreary looking day, and it had that look. And now that you mentioned it, I'm thinking about it now. It looked like it could just open up and stuff. I mean, it's nowhere near cold enough. The snow,
right?
Thank God.
It looked like a snowy day.
Yeah.
Right.
Really
yeah.
And then when you get the drops, the raindrop or the sleet, and you see little ice crystals in them.
Yeah.
Those are they're trying to become snowflakes.
Yeah. So
we get the actual snowflakes or we get the ice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't like the ice. I don't mind the snowflakes, but the ice that can go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, Steve, this has been a fantastic, very interesting evening chatting with you. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh yeah, well thanks for having me. It's always fun.
Yeah.
It's good to meet you, Krista.
Very nice to meet you too.
And if you ever make it down to the LBL, I've never been there. I know Krista has. Yeah, just shoot me a line and we'll meet you there. Or
oh yeah, that would be fun. We could make a good outing out of that.
Yeah, and hell, if you're going to be there a month, I can't get there a month, but I mean,
I can do a weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take whatever you got.
And so Greg was just filming there again a couple weekends ago. They had some really crazy activity out there with crawlers and all kinds of fun stuff. And you never know what you're going to find in the LBL. So
you don't. It's full of everything out there.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories.
No rules out there. It just you never know.
You got some pretty weird stuff out there.
Yeah.
Lots of weird stuff. I've seen some weird stuff out there myself. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, everybody, I appreciate everybody coming in to check this out. Everybody, and I appreciate everybody heading over and subscribing to Steve's channel over there. You're up to 447, so go over there and hit subscribe.
Nice.
Where's
and don't forget to tune in to Blondes and Booze tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 in the East. We've got our major announcement.
You don't want to miss that.
Nope. And then we have a guest. He's a friend of ours. His name is House, and he's got really, really cool encounters that he's going to talk about. So.
Awesome. Cool. And then we got BMR, and I haven't seen Donny have. Donny didn't have a show.
We were talking about me and Rob were talking about that last night. I don't know what Donny even hasn't really commented in our chat either. So I don't know what's going on.
Hopefully all's okay. Yeah. Anyway, all right, guys. Steve, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody in chat, I appreciate you being here and subscribing to Steve and just hanging out and asking questions. And I appreciate you guys as I always do here. So, Krista, have a wonderful evening.
You too.
We will see you next Wednesday, everybody. I don't know if I'm going to have well, I have a guest. I don't know if I'll be here Tuesday night, but Natalie will be here for sure. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to run the show, but I'll try and get here in time.
On Tuesday?
Yep.
I can fill in for you on Tuesday.
Started. I'm going to be on my way home from work. We close at 6.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a crazy day with Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, but I can hop on with Natalie. That's fine.
I mean, if nothing else started, and I can get in there later. So we'll talk about it later. Yep. All right, guys. Have a great night. Hope everybody stays safe. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys all later. And again, Steve, have a good night. Appreciate you.
Good night.
Night.